Crash on the beat.
Paper chaser.
What's going on, y'all? It's JP here, your host. Welcome to another episode of Chopping It Up with JP. And I had some really dope content for you for episodes 3 and 4. But there are current events in our nation's time and history right now that cannot be ignored. And I have to address it. There's nothing more that I can say about that. There's so many things going wrong right now for our international family, for our friends, for our loved ones who are all in the U.S. currently trying to come here and better their lives, get the necessary education that they intended on coming here for. And that's unfortunately going to change. You know what I mean? I am so sad. I'm so hurt for my international friends and my international friends who are students and family. For anybody who's listening right now that has a family member or a friend, or they know somebody who is an international student that now has to question whether they have the right to stay here or not, I really do express my sincere apologies and my care and my love. I'm so sad and I'm so sorry for everybody that has to go through this, because now your entire education for at least the rest of this year and next year is all incumbent upon, or it's all up to somebody else, not yourself. You know what I mean? Can you imagine how an international student feels right now? Just take a moment and try and put yourself in their shoes. They come here thinking that this is, going to be a new exciting opportunity for them to come into this country and at least try to experience academic freedom, religious freedom. You know what I mean? Like, that's just so unfortunate for them to have to go through something like this. But of course, I didn't just hop onto the show and get ready to complain and lament to y'all. I'm going to be breaking down exactly what it means. So I'm actually pulled up the website, the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. For everybody that doesn't know what ICE stands for, that's what ICE stands for. And effective July 6, 2020, I'm going to read it off to you. I'm going to go into just some important details for you to keep in mind now that all of these events are starting to occur. So the first temporary exemption for a fall 2020 semester is the non-immigrant F-1 and M-1 students attending schools operating entirely online may not take a full online course load and remain in the United States. The U.S. Department of State will not issue visas to students enrolled in schools and or programs that are fully online for the fall semester, nor will the U.S. Customs or Border Protection permit these students to enter the United States. Wow. Exemption number 2. Non-immigrant F-1 students attending schools operating under normal in-person classes are bound by existing federal regulations. For those of y'all that don't know what that means, if you are an international student and your school is deciding to go full-on in-person classes for the fall semester, you're exempt from this new policy put in place. Number 3, non-immigrant F-1 students attending school adopting a hybrid model, a mixture of online and in person, will be allowed to take more than one class or 3 credit courses online. These schools must certify to SEVP, which is the Student Exchange Visitor Information Program. Now, I don't know if I'm alone on this sentiment, but with the long list of problems that already exist within the U.S. education system, much less the U.S. in general, I don't see this policy being put in place. I don't see this attacking any big problem that we have right now. I just don't see it. I don't understand how this is making our system more equitable, easier for students to navigate the educational system. And I'm just going to be completely honest with you. This looks like another form of systematic racism to me, and institutional racism. This is just a way to keep international students out of the country. And that might seem like a generalization or an overreach, but think of it this way, right? You're an international student. Your school is not going in person. It's going maybe hybrid. You take you are planning on taking online courses, right? You plan on taking online courses. This system or this policy has now been put in place, and you're gone for at least the fall semester. Now, for those of y'all that don't know how long a fall semester is, that's usually between August and December, right? So for an entire semester, you are not able to take courses within the United States. Because the penalty for not adhering to this policy right here is deportation. Now, I don't know if y'all know about deportation or not, but once you get deported, ain't no way you coming back. There is absolutely no way you can come back after you've been deported. Chances are slim to none, if not 0%. So, my question to you is this. How is this making us a more effective country? What are we doing to better serve our future? I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing the vision. I don't see how this helps us at all. Because let's be completely honest. Schools are making money off of international students too. There's 3 types of tuition as far as I'm concerned. In-state tuition, out-of-state tuition, international student tuition. Now, out of those 3, which one do you think is the highest? Barring that you didn't get like a scholarship or a grant or some sort of a loan or something, you're going to be paying a pretty hefty penny to be coming to school here. And now that option for all of the students that were graduating in secondary school in whatever country they were that that were planning on coming out here, canceled. Any school that's not converting into an in-person, or not even converting, going back to a regular in-person class format, all the international students that were planning on coming back, now in question. I don't even know what to say in regards to how this is going to help schools or international students or regular students, period. Because some schools, real talk, some schools, their international student makes up about 10 to 15% of their entire student body. So how is it that something like this is going to help us? I'm not getting it. Like, what? This is what y'all came up with? This is what y'all came up with. For real? We still have problems with our education system. Now, I'm going to read some stats that I honestly think that you should pay attention. According to the National Center for Education Statistics, reading literacy averages from 347 in Lebanon to 535 in Singapore. And in the US, the average score was 497. 535 in Singapore, they were the highest, they ranked the highest. And the US was 497th in reading literacy. And this is for students who are 15 in 2015. All right. Let's look at math. Average scores in mathematics literacy in 2015 ranged from 328 in the Dominican Republic to 564 in Singapore. And for the US, we scored 470. Keep in mind, the median score for this scale, the center point is 500. Now, I'm not sure if people in politics are aware of these statistics, but I would hope that they would attack these statistics rather than doing something like this. You get what I'm saying? Because let's not forget, we're in the middle of a pandemic. All right? We're in the middle of a pandemic. I just don't see how you would rather spend your time kicking people out of the U.S., students out of the U.S., when we're still behind when it comes to certain things like this. Our education system is not the best by any means for anyone. And yet we still have to deal with stuff like this. Like, I'm not understanding. I'm really not. And I know that I keep on saying that. I keep on repeating it throughout this whole show so far. But that's because this doesn't make any sense. You got to be real with yourself. This got to be the pettiest damn move by any government regime in regards to education within the 21st century. Now, let's scale back a little bit, right? Let's try and exhibit some patience. After all, this is pretty new. This was effective like late last night. So we don't know all the details yet. But put yourself into an international student's shoes. 1 second, right? You go back to your country. You wait out the entire semester. And that's for 4 months, right? Now, let's face it. 4 months, it may seem like a short time, but it's not a short time. Your life can dramatically change in one day. So for 4 months, you're back in the country where you came from, and life is transpiring during this time between now and December. We would have had a new president, hopefully, or we would have had no change within the current administration. So barring that, you know that this is a country that literally kicked you out, not for anything you did, not for anything that you could have affected, and not for anything that you could have changed. You think you're going to come back? For real? You honestly think that you're going to be so excited to want to come back? Now, don't get me wrong. If this temporary policy lasts for more than a year, this is a clear example. Not even example. This is a clear, deliberate way for institutional racism to have effect for at least one full term. Now, y'all, don't forget the process of applying with a student or for a student visa and coming here, for the purpose of being a student is not easy. So now that you've come here seeking educational opportunities, business opportunities, or maybe even picking up some tools so you can go back and help develop your country, how is it that anything that you're going to do from now till the next spring semester will ultimately be in your favor? How are things going to look up for you? You get what I mean? Now, even the most conservative person could see something like that. I hope, to be honest, because I'm just so frustrated with how we're moving. You know what I'm saying? What good has come out of 2020? Like what? What's the objective? What's the motivation? How does this help us? How does this make sense for universities? In regards to universities closing their doors and switching to online or hybrid courses only, are you seriously trying to tell me that y'all are going to be making the exact same amount of money as y'all did previously? No. You know why? Because not a lot of students are going to go back to school. And now that something like this is in place, it's literally in your hands to either reopen in classes for international students, right? That's going to be the favorable choice. But let's also remember, we are in a pandemic where other students could potentially be affected by this. Now, let's face it, we are in a pandemic. If you're an international student, obviously you want your university, the current school that you're going to. You know what? Before I even finish that thought, this policy affects F-1 and M-1 students. So even if you're a high school, elementary, or a university student, or if you're even coming here to do like a program, yo, you gotta bounce. For real, that's really how it's going. You know what I'm saying? So obviously you would want the institution or school that you're going to be in class or in person. But I don't think schools are going to do that. Because for schools to reopen, think about the repercussions that it could have, having exposure to the virus, and also looking at, I'm gonna just speak for the state of California. Some schools will open, some schools won't open, and I'm just be real. It's not looking real bright right now. Like it's not. You know what I mean? To be a student between now and the next 2 years, I highly doubt that any bit of it is going to be an enjoyable experience. What do I mean by that? I'm saying, right, when we go back to in-class or in-person class meetings, I'm pretty sure we're going to have these like parameters, or you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just going to be weird. I don't want to put any like bad energy into the air like that or be, pessimistic, but I'm just being realistic. It's not going to be fun. So now that we got to deal with this virus, y'all that are in charge of immigration really feel like this is the best thing to do right now. For real? Y'all couldn't think of anything else better to do? I am disappointed, to say the least. Right? And like I said previously, I had a whole bunch of dope content planned, man. We're really going to get into the creation of the dollar and you know what I'm saying? Talk about demystifying financial literacy, because everybody uses that term now, and everybody's now all of a sudden a guru. And now if you don't get your money up when you're young, you are a loser. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're dumb. And I was going to get into a whole bunch of that. But when I read this, man, it hit me in the heart. I saw this video that somebody had sent me on Instagram. And for students who or not even students, these were kids. These kids not older than 8-10 years old. These students didn't speak English sometimes. They didn't have parents, but they were trying to emigrate into the U.S. Now, I'm sure y'all know how big of a deal immigration is already. But these kids had to appear in court and represent themselves. They had to show up in court because of something called removal proceedings. Now, removal proceedings are basically, as an immigrant who is here in the U.S. illegally, if you are ever caught, you're arrested, and the legal proceedings are called legal, removal proceedings. And as I began to watch this post of these kids, coming up to the post and having to stand and represent themselves in court, and the opposition, was always, there was an attorney present, someone who's very fluid and who knows the ins and outs of the legal system and has been, well developed in that for however many years that person has made a career out of this. That's what they're up against, honestly. And upon doing more research on it, I found out that children who are arrested by the U.S. government have no right to a court-appealed representation in immigration proceedings. Isn't that something? Isn't that something? Now, we could dive deeper into the topic of immigration, but I want to keep this simple. All right, I just want to leave y'all with this. We got to do better. Plain and simple, we got to do better. As a country, obviously, we're not doing what we should be doing. And this is just clear evidence that is the case. You know what I mean? This is just a real messed up situation that we're putting people in. You know what I'm saying? We're basically putting people's educational aspirations and timetables pretty much in the hands of universities. I don't know what to say, man. But we obviously do need to do better. You know what I'm saying? We got to put pressure on our politicians. I think what we could do moving forward is have patience and really kind of understand what's going on. But the best thing that we could do from this is learn from this, study it, learn it, understand what's going on. Then when we are effective member of society, I'm talking about young people, we'll know exactly how to move. That's the only way that we're going to become a more effective society. So that's that. Real quick, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It really helps out the overall growth of the show, and it'll allow me to reach more out to the community. So if you could please just do me a solid, give me a like, and subscribe. That'd be really appreciated. On our next episode, we're going to be starting off our discussion on financial literacy. I'm really excited. I got some really great stuff for y'all. So make sure y'all tune in. Have a wonderful, great rest of your day or night, whatever time that you're listening into this. I appreciate every single one of y'all. Much love. Stay blessed. And I'll see you next time.
Paper chaser.